The life of King George III's daughter, Princess Sophia. Princess Sophia, also known as Sophia Matilda, led a captivating life full of intrigue and rumours. Born on the 3rd of November 1777, she was the 12th child and 5th daughter of King George III and Queen Charlotte. While Sophia is famous for various reasons, one particular scandal surrounds her alleged illegitimate child, which added an extra layer of fascination to her story. During her youth, Sophia shared a special bond with her father, who favoured his daughters over his sons. Unfortunately, her relationship with her mother was fraught with fear, as the princesses were raised in an extremely strict household. Despite King George's initial disapproval of marriage for his daughters, he intended to find them suitable husbands once they reached a certain age. However, his recurrent bouts of madness, along with the Queen's desire to keep her daughters as companions, deterred potential suitors from them. As a result, Sophia and her sisters grew up in a secluded environment, often referred to as a nunnery. While Sophia remained unmarried, rumours circulated that she had become pregnant in 1800. It was said that Thomas Garth, an equerry of her father's, was the father of her illegitimate child. Another scandalous claim suggested that her elder brother, the unpopular Duke of Cumberland, had raped her and fathered the child. Historians remain divided on the truth behind these stories, with some believing she did give birth to Garth's child, while others argue that these tales were spread by political enemies of the royal family. The Prince Regent's efforts to secure more independence for his sisters gained momentum after Queen Charlotte's death in 1818. In her later years, Sophia resided in the household of her niece, Princess Victoria of Kent, who would later become Queen Victoria. It was during this time that she fell under the influence of Sir John Conroy, Victoria's controller. Taking advantage of Sophia's senility and blindness, Conroy manipulated her, and rumours circulated that she held him in high regard due to his ability to handle the alleged bullying behaviour of her supposed illegitimate son. Sophia became a spy for Conroy, reporting on the activities of the Kensington household and her 2 elder brothers, while he squandered most of her fortune. The princess passed away on the 27th of May 1848 at her residence in Vicarage Place, Kensington Palace. In her early years, Princess Sophia spent her childhood at Buckingham House in London. She was baptised on the 1st of December 1777 in the grand setting of the Great Council Chamber at St James's Palace. The ceremony was conducted by Frederick Cornwallis, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Among her godparents were Prince August of Saxe-Gotha-Altenburg, her first cousin once removed, as well as the Duchess of Brunswick, Wolfenbüttel, her first cousin twice removed. The Duchess of Mecklenburg, the wife of her first cousin once removed, was also a godparent, but they were represented by proxies during the baptism ceremony. Sophia's entrance into the world brought with it provisions for her future. King George, ensuring the financial security of his daughters and younger sons, arranged for Sophia and her elder sisters to receive an annual income of £6,000, either upon their marriages or his passing. The royal household maintained a strict and formal atmosphere, even in private. For instance, when the king entered a room, his daughters were expected to stand up, remain silent until addressed, and only leave with permission. Queen Charlotte, mindful of expenses, took measures to economize. The younger princesses wore less expensive country-made dresses and had plain meals. Education took centre stage in Sophia's early life. Lady Charlotte Finch, the governess for all of the royal children, oversaw their upbringing. Alongside her brothers, Sophia received a strict and disciplined education. Queen Charlotte ensured that expert tutors provided lessons in English, French, music, art, and geography. The princesses also had the opportunity to engage in sports and lively games with their brothers, blending entertainment with education. Theatre and special performances added to their cultural experiences. Sophia's first public appearance took place at Westminster Abbey in 1784 during a commemoration for George Frederick Handel, where she accompanied her parents and older siblings. In a departure from the norms of the time, Sophia's father actively participated in her early upbringing, favouring his daughters over his sons. He attended their birthday celebrations and other special events, showing great fondness for them. However, Queen Charlotte instilled fear in her daughters, and her maternal approach was not always gentle. As Sophia entered adulthood, she began to participate in more family activities alongside her sister Mary. At the age of 14, Sophia made her debut at court on her father's birthday. She was described as a delightful yet occasionally moody young woman, pretty, delicate and passionate. Sophia remained devoted to her father, despite finding him occasionally exacerbating. She expressed her gratitude for his kindness, but also noted his occasional overbearing behaviour, which did concern her. Prior to 1788, King George had discussed taking his daughters to Hanover to find them suitable husbands, despite his reservations based on his sisters' unhappy marriages. He admitted that he never wished to see his daughters marry, as he cherished their company and desired to avoid separation. However, the king's first bout of madness in 1788, when Sophia was 11, raised concerns. Sophia described his behaviour as affectionate yet alarming. Further episodes of insanity occurred in 1801 and 1804, postponing any discussions of marriage for his daughters. The topic was rarely broached, as Queen Charlotte feared it could trigger a relapse in the king's mental state. Additionally, strained by her husband's illness, she wanted her princesses to remain close to her. Princess Sophia, much like her sisters, was confined to a life of companionship with her mother, Queen Charlotte. They were strictly kept within the boundaries of the royal court, rarely interacting with men outside of pages, equerries, or attendants. Constantly supervised, the princesses lamented their existence in what they called a nunnery. Their entertainment consisted of the queen reading sermons to them, and the princesses engaging in the monotonous task of embroidery. Sophia once expressed her profound boredom, wishing she were a kangaroo to escape the deadly dullness of their days. While the Princess Royal managed to marry at a relatively young age, the rest of the princesses faced obstacles in their pursuit of love and family. Although suitors showed an interest, Queen Charlotte intervened and hindered most of their romantic prospects. Longing for their own families and children, the princesses turned to their brother, the Prince of Wales, for assistance. They sought his help in finding suitable spouses, obtaining permission to marry their chosen partners, or even securing the freedom to live outside of Queen Charlotte's suffocating household. In jest, Sophia once humorously suggested to her brother that they should be put in a sack and drowned in the Thames. Before the Prince of Wales assumed the regency in 1811, he had limited power to fulfil his sister's wishes. However, his new position allowed Sophia and other unmarried princesses to receive increased allowances, as well as support in their desire to explore society. Queen Charlotte vehemently opposed these attempts, and she demanded delicate negotiations by the Prince Regent to strike a balance that would grant his sisters some independence. During Sophia's lifetime, rumours circulated about her alleged incestuous relationship with her brother Ernest Augustus, Duke of Cumberland, who later became the King of Hanover. The Prince Regent cautioned his sisters against being alone in the same room with the Duke, who was deeply unpopular with the British public. It remains uncertain whether these rumours held any truth or if they were fabricated by the Duke's numerous political adversaries. With limited exposure to eligible suitors, Sophia and some of her sisters became entangled in relationships with courtiers and equerries. Sophia herself became involved with Major General Thomas Garth, her father's chief equerry, despite him being 33 years her senior and having a conspicuous birthmark on his face. Her sister Mary referred to him as the purple light of love, while others, such as courtier Charles Greville, deemed him a hideous old devil. Nonetheless, one lady-in-waiting observed that the princess was madly in love with him, unable to contain her emotions in his presence. Greville wrote in his diary about the affairs of Sophia and her sisters, noting how they were secluded from the world, with limited interactions, and this led to their passions overflowing and easily falling into the hands of the first men who had the opportunity to engage with them. The rumours of an illegitimate child quickly spread, adding intrigue to Sophia's story. Some historians argue that sometime before August 1800 in Weymouth, Sophia gave birth to a child, allegedly fathered either by Thomas Garth or her own brother, the Duke of Cumberland. The child, named Thomas Garth after his supposed father, was raised by Garth in Weymouth, with occasional visits from Sophia. In 1828, the child reportedly attempted to blackmail the royal family with incriminating documents, but his scheme failed. On the other hand, challenges the belief that Sophia had a child at all, presenting a thorough examination of the available evidence. But others believe that Sophia secretly gave birth to the child, which could explain why she never married. There is mention of a potential marriage between Sophia and Garth in the same year as the child's birth, although no evidence supports this claim aside from the presence of a wedding ring in the portrait of an older Sophia. In her later years, Sophia became a favourite of her niece, Princess Charlotte of Wales, who admired Sophia's gentle character and was intrigued by the gossip surrounding her past. However, Charlotte had tumultuous relationships with her other aunts. Following Queen Charlotte's death in 1818, Augusta and Sophia gained more domestic freedom, although it was too late for them to marry. Sophia inherited Lower Lodge at Windsor Great Park from her mother, which she later gave to the Prince Regent. After Princess Augusta's passing in 1840, Sophia inherited Clarence House and Frogmore. During her final years, Sophia resided in Kensington Palace, living next to her niece, Princess Victoria of Kent, the future Queen Victoria. Sophia, like her sister-in-law, the Duchess of Kent, fell under the influence of Sir John Conroy and allowed him to manage her finances. She became part of the Duchess's social circle and acted as a spy for Conroy, reporting on events at St James's Palace and having privileged access to courtiers and her elder brothers. While some speculated that Conroy's handling of Sophia's illegitimate son endeared him to her, others argue that he took advantage of Sophia's vulnerability in her old age. Sophia often dined with the household, but the Duchess of Kent harboured mistrust towards her. Princess Victoria was aware of her aunt's spying activities, and their relationship remained distant. Sophia's wealth enabled Conroy to lead a lavish lifestyle, acquiring properties and enjoying high social standing. Sophia's influence also played a role in certain members of Victoria's household gaining elevated positions, such as the ennoblement of Victoria's governess, Louise Lejeune, and Conroy's appointment as the Knight Commander of the Hanoverian Order. In the twilight of her life, Princess Sophia battled blindness for over a decade, her world gradually shrouded in darkness. On the morning of the 27th of May 1848, she fell ill at her residence in Vicarage Place, Kensington. Among those who came to her side were her sisters Mary, sister-in-law Queen Adelaide, and nephew-in-law Prince Albert. As the day unfolded, Sophia's condition deteriorated, and at 6:30 that evening she drew her last breath. The sombre scene witnessed the presence of Mary, the Duchesses of Kent and Cambridge, who stood vigil by her side. Sophia's final resting place was not in the grand halls of Windsor Castle, as tradition would dictate, but rather in the Kensal Green Cemetery in London. It was a deliberate choice, as she desired to be near her beloved brother, Prince Augustus, Frederick, Duke of Sussex, whose grave lay on the opposite side of the path. The funeral took place in front of the central chapel, her burial spot marking the eastern boundary. However, her departure revealed a harsh truth. Conroy, the trusted caretaker of her finances, had squandered most of her wealth. Princess Sophia left behind a meagre estate, with virtually nothing left to give. In his diary entry on the 31st of May, Charles Greville captured the essence of Princess Sophia's passing. She was a woman of remarkable intellect and knowledge, yet her existence had been confined away from the vibrant world. She endured years of blindness and helplessness, a silent martyr in her own right. As news of her death coincided with Queen Victoria's birthday, it served as a poignant reminder of the fragility and transience of life. The life of Princess Amelia. Princess Amelia was born on the 7th of August 1783, and she was a fascinating character in the royal family of the United Kingdom. She was the youngest of King George III and Queen Charlotte's 15 children, and the only one born at Windsor Castle, making her arrival even more special. Affectionately called Emily by her doting father, Amelia was regarded as his favourite child. Amelia's birth came after the tragic loss of her older brothers Octavius and Alfred, which created a significant age gap between her and her closest surviving sibling, Princess Sophia. There were great expectations for Amelia's future. Her arrival was seen as a beacon of hope, as it marked a new chapter after the war between Great Britain and the United States. Even at a young age, Amelia exuded a sense of regality. It is said that when the renowned actress Sarah Siddons expressed a desire to kiss the adorable baby, Amelia instinctively extended her tiny hand for the honour. This early display of royal manners hinted at the princess's awareness of her noble status. Observers noted her decorum and dignity, particularly when she interacted with strangers, as if she understood the significance of upholding her elevated position. She became known as the Little Idol and embodied the qualities of beauty and charm that her late brother Octavius had possessed. As the youngest of the surviving children, Amelia grew up primarily in the company of her sisters Mary and Sophia, residing in the various royal residences. However, unlike their older siblings who received more attention from their parents, the three younger princesses had less direct interaction with the king and queen. They relied on written correspondence to maintain contact and share their experiences. Amelia's life was marked by her unique position within the royal family and the expectations placed upon her. Her story offers a glimpse into the dynamics and complexities of the British monarchy during that time. The mischievous spirit of the youngest princess, Mary, Sophia and Amelia, became evident during a portrait session in 1785. Unlike their well-behaved elder sisters, these three royal children proved to be quite a challenge for the artists. John Singleton Copley. The dogs, birds, and especially the energetic trio refused to sit still, leading Copley to abandon the portrait. It was said to be the last time he ever attempted such a task, undoubtedly frustrated by their wild antics. While their older sisters Charlotte, Augusta, and Elizabeth received a carefully planned education, Mary, Sophia, and Amelia had a more haphazard approach. They were simply taught based on what they had done before, lacking the same level of structure and guidance. Amelia was only 5 years old when her father, King George III, experienced his first episode of madness. As a result, she missed out on the close and affectionate family dynamics that her elder sisters had enjoyed during their early years. Prior to 1788, King George had entertained the idea of finding suitable husbands for his daughters, and even planned to take them to Hanover for that purpose. However, his own reservations stemming from his sisters' unhappy marriages held him back. He cherished his daughters' company and had no desire to see them separated. Yet his recurring bouts of insanity in 1788, 1801 and 1804 put any thoughts of marriage on hold. The subject was avoided as Queen Charlotte feared it could trigger her husband's relapse into madness. Additionally, due to the Queen's own health issues, she wanted her daughters to remain close by, further isolating them from potential suitors. Amelia and her sisters Charlotte, Augusta, Sophia, Elizabeth, Mary, and Sophia lived a sheltered and overprotected life, which limited their opportunities to meet eligible suitors of their own age. They were kept away from the outside world, creating a sense of seclusion and dependence on their immediate family. Amelia's health was always a concern, and in 1798 she developed a painful knee joint and was sent to the seaside town of Worthing for recovery. She wrote to her father expressing hope in the therapeutic benefits of the warm sea bath. The following year she temporarily improved and joined her family in Weymouth, where she adored her niece, Princess Charlotte of Wales. However, Amelia's health remained fragile throughout her life, and at the age of 15 she began showing symptoms of tuberculosis. In 1801, Amelia was sent for a seaside cure in Weymouth to elevate her health issues. It was during this time that she met the Honourable Charles Fitzroy, a 21-year-old equerry and the son of Charles Fitzroy, 1st Baron Southampton. Amelia fell deeply in love with Fitzroy and desired to marry him, but the strict provisions of the Royal Marriages Act prevented her from doing so without the consent of the Privy Council until she turned 25. The Queen was aware of their affair, but chose to turn a blind eye to avoid triggering the King's fragile mental state. Amelia, referring to herself as Amelia Fitzroy, AFR, considered herself married to him anyway, despite the legal obstacles they faced. Amelia's life was filled with forbidden love, health struggles, and the constraints of royal protocol. Her story adds an intriguing layer to the complexities and challenges faced by the younger generation of the royal family. In 1808, Princess Amelia suffered a severe bout of measles, and the gloomy atmosphere at home in Windsor only added to her misery. Concerned for her well-being, King George made the decision to send Amelia to Weymouth, accompanied by her sister Mary. Although her health only slightly improved, she found solace in moments of quiet rest. By 1809, she was able to take occasional short walks in her garden. However, this improvement was short-lived, and in August 1810 her suffering intensified, and in the October of that year she was struck by St. Anthony's fire, a painful skin condition. This illness dashed all hope, confining her to her bed on the 25th. King George was deeply anxious about his daughter's condition, summoning her physicians multiple times a day to receive a detailed update on her health. Despite the devoted care provided by her beloved sister Mary, Amelia's condition continued to deteriorate. Tragically, she passed away at noon on the 2nd of November, coinciding with her brother Edward's birthday. As a final token of remembrance, Amelia had a mourning ring crafted for the king, containing a lock of her hair enclosed in crystal, adorned with diamonds. It is said that the king wept upon receiving this heartfelt gift, and in her will Amelia directed that all of her possessions be given to Charles Fitzroy, her forbidden love. Amelia was laid to rest in the royal vault at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. It is rumoured that her elder brother, later known as George IV, requested a death mass to remember her by. The aftermath of Amelia's death brought about unforeseen consequences. George Villiers, the king's bailiff and brother of the Earl of Clarendon, attempted to blackmail the king and queen by holding on to letters belonging to Amelia. This scandal followed the disappearance of a substantial sum of £280,000 that Villiers was responsible for. Interestingly, Villiers would later become the father of the renowned diplomat and statesman George Villiers, 4th Earl of Clarendon. Amelia's passing had a profound impact on her father's mental and physical health, contributing to his decline into insanity. The Regency Act of 1811 was subsequently invoked, leading to the appointment of a regent to govern in the king's stead. According to his physician, Dr. Willis, King George would often cry out in a delirious state, pleading for Amelia to save him and expressing disdain for the physicians. Another of the king's delusions involved a belief that a healthy Amelia was living happily in Hanover with a large family, never growing older and always remaining well. Described as a beautiful young woman with ruby lips and auburn hair, Amelia was known for her spirited and tempestuous nature. Despite this, she was also recognized as amiable, intelligent, and unselfish. Even Princess Caroline, who had a disdainful view of her in-laws, referred to Amelia as the most amiable of the bunch. Both the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Sussex held a special fondness for her, with the latter describing her as a lovely creature. Amelia adored her elder brother, the Prince of Wales, and confessed that she had always loved him more than her other brothers. He too cherished her deeply, and her death left him devastated. In fact, he could never again sleep in a room without several lit candles after her funeral. Even 3 years later, he would burst into tears at the mere mention of her name, a testament to the lasting impact she had on his life. The life of Princess Augusta Sophia, born on November 8, 1768, was no ordinary princess. She was the 6th child and 2nd daughter of King George III and Queen Charlotte, and her story is filled with fascinating details. When Augusta was born at Buckingham House, her father, King George III, had a strong desire for a baby girl. The doctor attending the birth even remarked that anyone who saw the beautiful princess upstairs would be glad to have another. The king, however, was so determined to have a companion for his beloved Princess Royal that he retorted that anyone who saw that lovely child would wish for her twin. To everyone's joy, the new addition to the family turned out to be a small and pretty girl. On the 6th of December 1768, Augusta was christened in a grand ceremony at St. James's Palace. The Archbishop of Canterbury himself presided over the event, and her beloved godparents included her maternal uncle, Prince Charles of Mecklenburg, the Queen Consort of Denmark, represented by a proxy, and her paternal aunt, the hereditary Duchess of Brunswick-Lunenburg, also represented by a proxy. Even at just 1 month old, Augusta was hailed as the most beautiful infant by Lady Mary Coke. As part of the trio of elder princesses, Augusta, along with her older sister Charlotte and younger sister Elizabeth, had a unique upbringing. Starting in 1771, they began travelling to Kew for lessons under the guidance of Lady Charlotte Finch and Miss Frederica Planter. This shift meant that they spent less time with their brothers, only occasionally crossing paths during their daily walks. In 1774, Martha Goldsworthy, also known as Gooley, became their new head educator. The princesses delved into traditional feminine pursuits like music, dancing, and the arts. However, their mother made sure that they also received a well-rounded education, including subjects like English, French, German, and geography, taught by knowledgeable governesses. Princess Augusta Sophia's childhood and adolescence were filled with not only the privileges of royalty but also a commitment to learning and personal growth. Her unique upbringing and the diverse range of skills she acquired set the stage for her intriguing future. Princess Augusta, though deemed childish in comparison to her older sister, was Miss Planter's favourite among the princesses, who even went so far as to declare her handsomest of all. However, Augusta's charming appearance concealed a painfully shy nature, and when faced with unfamiliar faces, she often found herself stammering. Right from her early years, Augusta was driven by a strong desire to be good, which left her disheartened whenever she fell short of her own expectations. Her behaviour swung between troublesome and well-mannered, with occasional tantrums and even striking her governesses. Yet she also possessed a serene disposition and a deep affection for her family. Augusta harboured a profound dislike for the political tensions that had arisen between her elder brothers and their parents by 1780. choosing instead to immerse herself in her beloved coin collection. Shielded from the outside world like her sisters, Augusta's sole confidants were her attendants, with whom she maintained a frequent correspondence. In 1782, Augusta made her much-anticipated society debut at the King's birthday celebrations. Fearful of crowds, her mother kept her in the dark about the event until a mere 2 days before it took place. The same year brought heart-wrenching tragedies, as Augusta mourned the loss of her youngest brother Alfred, followed by the passing of her next youngest brother Octavius 8 months later. When the princesses attended the Royal Academy's summer expedition in 1783, the portraits of their departed brothers overwhelmed them, leading to tearful outbursts before onlookers. In August of that year, Augusta's youngest sibling, Amelia, was born, and she, along with Charlotte and George, stood as a godparent. While the birth of her sister didn't erase the pain of her brothers' deaths, Augusta chose not to dwell on their loss like their father did. As the 3 eldest princesses entered their teenage years, they increasingly spent time in the company of their parents. They accompanied them to the theatre, the opera, and courtly affairs, with their once academic lessons taking a backseat to music and the arts. They had the privilege of hearing renowned actresses like Sarah Siddons perform, and Augusta, alongside Charlotte and their parents, had the opportunity to meet John Adams when he was presented to the Queen. Whenever seen in public, the 3 girls were impeccably dressed alike, the only distinction being the colour of their dresses. Despite their frequent public appearances, Augusta found her greatest joy in the comfort of home, where she doted on her younger brothers Ernest, Augustus, and Adolphus. She shared an exceptionally close bond with her sister Elizabeth, as Charlotte often displayed haughty behaviour and an excessive awareness of her position as a Princess Royal. As Augusta and the Princess Royal approached a marriageable age, a significant change occurred in their lives. In July 1783, they were assigned their First Lady-in-Waiting, marking a step towards their future roles as potential brides. Augusta, eager for news and connection, frequently corresponded with her elder brother William, who was undergoing military training in Hanover. She proved to be a skilled and devoted correspondent, sharing family updates and encouraging him to share the events of his own life. Augusta delighted in her brother's attention and cherished the small gifts that he sent her, and despite the Queen's attempt to dissuade William from taking up too much of his sister's valuable time. While their academic lessons were winding down, the Queen was determined not to let her daughters waste a moment, ensuring that they dedicated hours to studying music, art, and various specialities under the tutelage of different masters. The princesses adhered to a peculiar dress code, only dressing for dinner and wearing morning gowns for the majority of the day. Even when they did dress up, the royal family favoured plain attire, far removed from the extravagant opulence seen in other courts. With 6 princesses in the household, the Queen's expenses for clothing alone were extortionate, and she made efforts to keep costs within the limits of her allowance. Transitioning into this new phase of life meant that the amount of money spent on the Queen's 3 eldest daughters was rapidly escalating. Constantly in need of dresses, hats, trimmings, fans, and other items, the princesses proved to be a considerable drain on the royal purse. Quarterly expenses for their wardrobe were estimated to be £2,000, and when combined with the cost of their servants and tutors, the figures became even more staggering. However, there was an unintended benefit. The princesses began to capture the public's attention. When their group portrait was displayed to the people, their porcelain-like beauty sparked admiration. Dressed identically, only their choice of accessories hinted at the distinct personalities concealed underneath their painted veneer. By 1785, Augusta and Charlotte were reaching an age where it would be considered as potential brides for foreign princes. The Crown Prince of Denmark, later known as King Frederick VI, expressed to King George III his intention to break off all other marriage proposals for a British princess. It was rumoured that he favoured Augusta over her eldest sisters. However, due to the ill treatment of George III's younger sister by King Christian VII of Denmark, The king staunchly declared that he would never send one of his daughters to the Danish court. As their friends and fellow courtiers began to marry, the princesses found themselves wondering when their turn would come. In 1797, Augusta received a proposal from Prince Frederick Adolf of Sweden, an offer that had not been sanctioned by the Swedish royal house. A British princess, especially from a fertile mother, was highly sought after. Yet their father appeared increasingly reluctant to allow his daughters to enter into marriage alliances, raising questions and concerns among the princesses about their future prospects. Denied the opportunity for personal relationships with men of their own rank, several daughters of King George III embarked on clandestine romances with gentlemen at court. Augusta Sophia's path crossed with Sir Brent Spencer, a senior Anglo-Irish officer in the British Army around 1800. In a letter to her brother, the future King George IV, in 1812, Augusta revealed that she and Spencer had formed a deep connection around 1803, during his time stationed in England. Their bond grew stronger when Spencer was appointed as an equerry to the king in 1805. Fueled by passion, the couple carefully nurtured their love affair, ensuring the utmost privacy. In her plea to the Prince Regent for consent to marry Spencer, Augusta promised to maintain their discretion and public behaviour. While there is no official record of their marriage, rumours circulated within the court of Hesse-Homburg during her sister Elizabeth's wedding in 1818 that Augusta was secretly wedded. It was Spencer who conveyed the news of Augusta's mother's passing later that year, and upon Spencer's own death in 1828, he was found holding a locket containing Augusta's portrait, further attesting to the depth of their connection. In her later years, Augusta remained devoted to various interests. She was known to be a patron of El Bertolotto's flea circus, as documented in a flyer held by the V&A archives. In 1828, she expressed her sentiments to a friend, stating that she once felt ashamed to be called Princess Augusta, while any surviving members of the Stuart family still existed. However, after the passing of Cardinal York in 1807, she finally embraced her true identity as Princess Augusta. On the 10th of February 1840, Augusta attended the momentous wedding of her niece, Queen Victoria, to Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg in Gotha. Later that year, on the 22nd of September, Augusta passed away at Clarence House at St James's, London. She was laid to rest in the Royal Vault at St George's Chapel, Windsor, on the 2nd of October, following a period of lying in state at Frogmore. Augusta Sophia's life was marked by hidden passions and a longing for personal connection, making her journey all the more intriguing and enigmatic.
The life of Princess Mary, King George III's daughter. Princess Mary, Duchess of Gloucester and Edinburgh, led a remarkable life intertwined with royalty and love. Born on the 25th of April 1776 in the Grand Buckingham Palace, she was the 11th child of King George III and Queen Charlotte. Mary's upbringing was guided by her loving parents, who took an active role in her education and moral development. Despite her reserved and dignified demeanour, Mary was hailed as the most beautiful daughter of George III. Her elegance and charm were showcased when she danced a captivating minuet at the age of 16 during a lavish court ball. As she blossomed into womanhood, Mary made her official debut at court in 1792, captivating the hearts of many. In 1796, love found its way into Mary's life when she met Prince Frederick, a Dutch prince living in exile in London. They fell deeply in love, but their path to marriage was hindered by George III's insistence that her elder sisters marry first. Tragically, in 1799, Prince Frederick succumbed to an infection while serving in the army, leaving Mary devastated. She was granted the honour of entering official mourning for her lost love. As time passed, Mary's life took another turn when she married her first cousin, Prince William Frederick, Duke of Gloucester and Edinburgh. Both in their 40s, they found companionship and happiness in each other's company. Mary became the Duke's devoted wife and shared many memorable years with him. In her later years, Mary witnessed the reign of her niece, Queen Victoria, who became the fourth monarch during Mary's lifetime. She outlived her father and two of her brothers, George IV and William IV, making her longest-lived and last surviving child of King George III. Mary's longevity was a testament to her strength and resilience, and at the age of 81, Princess Mary, Duchess of Gloucester and Edinburgh, passed away at Gloucester House in Weymouth. Her legacy as a beloved member of the royal family, as well as her enduring beauty and resilience, will forever be remembered. Princess Mary, known for her obedient nature, was affectionately referred to as Mama's Tool by her younger sister, Princess Amelia. Their bond was unbreakable, and Mary tirelessly nursed Amelia during her painful illness. Tragically, Amelia's premature death in 1810 left Mary devastated, losing a beloved companion and confidant. Mary's close relationship extended to her elder brother, with whom she shared a mutual disdain for their cousin Caroline of Brunswick, his estranged wife. When Caroline departed for Italy, Mary expressed her relief, congratulating her brother on the prospect of a good riddance. She hoped that Caroline would never return, freeing them from any further encounters. Raised in a sheltered environment, Mary spent most of her time in the company of her parents and sisters. In 1816, at the age of 40, she married her first cousin, Prince William Frederick, Duke of Gloucester and Edinburgh. Their wedding day brought a significant change in William's title, as Mary's brother, the Prince Regent, elevated him from Highness to Royal Highness. This elevated status was already deserved by Mary as the daughter of the king. Interestingly, William Frederick had initially pursued a marriage with Mary's niece, Princess Charlotte of Wales. However, their courtship was cut short due to Charlotte's father's disapproval. Some speculate that Mary's decision to marry her cousin stemmed from her dissatisfaction with Queen Charlotte's strict household rules. Princess Charlotte noted that William Frederick was deeply in love and declared himself the happiest man alive. While Mary might not have shared the same level of enthusiasm, the prospect of being her own mistress, having her own house, and being able to freely walk about the streets delighted her in different ways. The couple resided in Bagshot Park initially, but later moved on to White Lodge in Richmond Park after William's passing. Although they did not have any children together, their companionship and shared life brought them much happiness. Princess Mary's life came to an end on the 30th of April 1857 at Gloucester House in Mayfair. At the age of 81, she was the last surviving child of George III and Queen Charlotte, having outlived her siblings and leaving behind a legacy of resilience and devotion.
The life of Princess Elizabeth, the daughter of King George III. Princess Elizabeth of the United Kingdom, a fascinating and vibrant personality, defied the expectations of her stately upbringing. Born on the 22nd of May 1770 at Buckingham House in London, she was the seventh child and third daughter of King George III and Queen Charlotte. While her siblings were shielded from the world, Elizabeth's spirit yearned for adventure and fulfillment. Despite her privileged but restricted existence, Elizabeth maintained an unwaveringly positive outlook. Her zest for life propelled her to explore diverse interests and cultivate her talents. A gifted artist, she created captivating engravings, using her art to support charitable causes. Breaking away from traditional gender roles, Elizabeth shared her father's passion for agriculture and managed her own model farm in the scenic village of Old Windsor. She derived immense joy from the bountiful produce of her garden and relished the delectable indulgences she favoured, much to the playful teasing of her family. Elizabeth's buoyant nature extended beyond her creative pursuits. Renowned for her sharp wit, She amassed a vast collection of jokes and witticisms, delighting those in her company. Unapologetically candid and genuine, she shunned superficial formalities and valued sincerity above all. Among her siblings, Elizabeth formed particularly close bonds with her sister Augusta and her brother Edward, Duke of Kent and Strathearn. Additionally, she shared a special connection with her mother, Queen Charlotte, a bond that influenced the Queen's reluctance to see Elizabeth married off. With her insatiable curiosity and vibrant personality, Princess Elizabeth of the United Kingdom carved a unique path, defying conventions and leaving an undeniable mark on those around her. Tales of intriguing romantic entanglements surround Princess Elizabeth, adding an air of mystery to her life. One such story suggests that she entered into a clandestine marriage with George Ramus, resulting in the birth of their daughter, Alyssa, in 1788. George Ramus, the son of one of Elizabeth's father's pages, enjoyed a connection to the royal family. While such union would have been deemed invalid under the Royal Marriages Act 1772, Elizabeth's brothers had also ventured into similar relationship with commoners before later marrying German princesses. Elizabeth's sisters, largely restricted from marrying into royalty, sought love and companionship with equerries and influential courtiers. Elizabeth herself may have been engaged in a romantic relationship with the first Baron of St. Helens, a respected diplomat who held the favour of George III. Despite the 17-year age difference, St. Helens' practical and sharp-witted nature resonated with Elizabeth, who cherished him dearly. She affectionately referred to him as a dear and valuable saint and expressed her unwavering admiration for him. Elizabeth's attachment to St. Helens was evident when she was commissioned a portrait of him, while he reciprocated her affections by keeping an enamel miniature of Elizabeth. Regarding marriage, Elizabeth's path took an unexpected turn in 1808 when she declined a proposal from the exiled Duke of Orleans, later known as King Louis Philippe I of France. The rejection was influenced by her mother's opposition and the Duke's Catholic faith. However, fate intervened during a grand ball in the British royal court in 1814 when Elizabeth encountered Prince Frederick of Hesse-Homburg, a German noble. Captivated by his dashing presence in his elegant hussar's uniform, she exclaimed, "If he is single, I will marry him." 4 years later, Elizabeth received a letter bearing Frederick's proposal. Intrigued and supported by her surviving sisters, she eagerly embraced the opportunity. Despite rumours of Frederick's weight and persistent tobacco odour from his beloved pipes, Elizabeth remained resolute in her desire to wed him. Queen Charlotte initially opposed the match, fearing Elizabeth's relocation to Germany. However, Elizabeth's unwavering determination eventually persuaded her mother to relent and grant her blessing to the union. Against all odds and amid resistance, the enchanting wedding of Princess Elizabeth and Prince Frederick took place on the 7th of April, 1818. The intimate ceremony unfolded within the private chapel of Buckingham Palace, nestled in the heart of Westminster. Elizabeth, radiant and resplendent, donned a magnificent gown crafted from the shimmering silver tissue and adorned with delicate Brussels lace. Ostrich feathers gracefully adorned her hair, lending a charm to her appearance. Leading her down the aisle was her second eldest brother, the Duke of York, as her father and eldest brother, the Prince Regent, were regrettably absent due to illness. Following their nuptials, the newlyweds embarked on a honeymoon at the splendid residence of the Prince Regent in Brighton. While their union was not born out of a fiery love affair, it proved to be a harmonious alliance that satisfied both parties, offered an escape from the suffocating confines of her home, granting her the opportunity to embark on a new life in Germany with her husband. In turn, Frederick reaped the advantages of aligning himself with the esteemed British royal family. However, as they embarked on their honeymoon, both were pleasantly surprised to discover a deep sense of happiness and contentment in each other's presence. Frederick found Elizabeth to be intelligent, generous, and affectionate, while Elizabeth cherished her husband's qualities. Their marriage blossomed into a blissful union that endured until Frederick's passing in 1829, celebrated as a testament to enduring love. In the years that followed, Elizabeth and Frederick embraced their roles with grace and purpose, and in 1820 Frederick ascended to the position of Landgrave of Hesse-Homburg upon his father's passing. With Elizabeth's dowry and annual allowance, they were able to transform the Homburg Palace, breathing new life and splendour into their surroundings. Freed from the rigid court etiquette she had found stifling in England, Elizabeth revelled in her newfound freedom in Germany. She even oversaw the construction of the exquisite Gothic house within the castle grounds, a testament to their shared vision and creativity. Deeply committed to making a difference, Elizabeth established a care centre and school in Hanover for the children of working mothers. Although she herself was past childbearing age, she discovered immense fulfillment in working with the young students who graced the halls of the school. Tragically, Elizabeth's journey came to an end on the 10th of January 1840, as she peacefully passed away at the age of 69 in Frankfurt am Main, Hesse, Germany. Her final resting place became the majestic mausoleum of the Landgraves, situated in Homburg. Princess Elizabeth's legacy as a compassionate and dedicated individual, both with her marriage and in her philanthropic endeavours, would continue to inspire generations to come. The life of Princess Charlotte. Introducing Charlotte the Princess Royal, a captivating figure whose life was steeped in royalty and intrigue. Born on the 29th of September 1766 at Buckingham House in London, she emerged as the cherished child of King George III and his wife Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. The splendour of her birth was immortalised in a magnificent painting by Francis Coates, capturing the tender bond between mother and child. From the outset, it was clear that Princess Charlotte possessed an air of distinction that set her apart from her siblings. On the 27th of October 1766, she was baptised at St James's Palace by none other than the esteemed Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Secker. Among the distinguished guests in attendance were her paternal aunts, Caroline Matilda and Louisa, along with Caroline Matilda's husband, the Danish King Christian VII. The Duke of Portland and the Dowager Countess of Effingham had the honour of representing the King and Queen of Denmark as godparents, an auspicious start to a life destined for greatness. At the tender age of 18 months, Charlotte was designated as the Princess Royal, a title bestowed upon her on the 22nd of June 1789. This delighted her parents, who had welcomed 3 successive sons into their growing family. As the eldest daughter of the monarch, she was fated for a significant marriage on the European stage, and her education assumed paramount importance. Thus, from her earliest years, she embarked on a journey of intellectual enrichment. Recognizing the prevailing influence of the French language in European courts, the young princess was assigned a French tutor to ensure her flawless command of the language. The elimination of any trace of accent became a priority, allowing her to effortlessly navigate diplomatic circles in the future. Charlotte's extraordinary memory was also cultivated, with recitation of verses and stories forming an integral part of her early education. This remarkable ability to retain detail would accompany her throughout her life, conferring upon her an almost magical recall. Yet Charlotte's formative years were not confined solely to scholarly pursuits. At the tender age of 3, she participated in her first tableau, donning the attire of Columbine, a character in a delightful performance. With her 7-year-old brother George, the Prince of Wales, as her dance partner, she graced the stage exhibiting an early inclination towards the performing arts. However, as she matured, she grew to despise such display of childlike vanity, believing them to breed arrogance and self-importance. Nevertheless, her parents persisted in showcasing their daughter's charm and grace. In late 1769, an event transpired that would forever alter the course of Charlotte's public appearances. She and the Prince of Wales were paraded before the masses in a grand expedition, styled as a junior drawing room at St. James's Palace. The young princess was adorned in a splendid Roman toga, reclining upon a sumptuous sofa. While such spectacles were deemed acceptable in German courts, they were met with disdain in England, resulting in a backlash from a disapproving London mob. In the aftermath, the Prince of Wales confided to Lady Mary Coke, revealing Charlotte's exhaustion from the ordeal. Sensibly, the King and Queen resolved never to subject their daughter to such public showcases again, a decision that would shape the princess's future engagements. Thus, Charlotte the Princess Royal embarked on a life marked by privilege, intellect, and the audacious expectations of her royal lineage. Her story weaves together the tapestry of European nobility, promising an extraordinary journey through the annals of history. Despite being the eldest daughter, Charlotte often found herself living in the shadow of her younger sister, Augusta Sophia, who was just 2 years her junior. From the earliest days, comparisons were drawn between the two siblings, and it seemed that Augusta held the upper hand in the beauty department. Even as an infant, Augusta was hailed as the most beautiful baby by Lady Mary Coke, while Charlotte was deemed very plain. This pattern persisted as they grew older, and Charlotte became described as the most sensible and agreeable child, albeit lacking in physical attractiveness, while Augusta continued to be hailed as rather pretty. However, beneath the surface disparities, Charlotte possessed qualities that set her apart from her sister. Unlike Augusta, she did not bear the burden of crippling shyness. Additionally, Charlotte faced a personal challenge, a stammer that her devoted attendant, Mary Dacres, endeavoured to help her overcome. As fate would have it, the trio of eldest princesses was completed with the arrival of Princess Elizabeth in 1770, becoming the 7th child in a growing royal brood. Though the family remained relatively small at the time, with 15 royal children in total, Charlotte was fortunate to have parents who prioritised spending time with their extensive offspring over courtly obligations. Her education was taken seriously, a testament to the King and Queen's commitment. Nonetheless, Charlotte's childhood was not the idyllic utopia that her parents had envisioned. The incessant arrival of new siblings and the challenges that beset her father's reign created an environment far from perfect. Nevertheless, she, like her siblings, received a comprehensive education under the guidance of tutors. Buckingham House, Kew Palace, and Windsor Castle served as her primary abodes during her formative years. To ensure her well-being, her wet nurse Frances, the wife of James Muttlebury, played a vital role in her early care. In the intricate tapestry of royal life, Charlotte's experiences were shaped by the complex dynamics of sibling rivalry, the struggle to find her own identity, and the nurturing guidance of devoted caregivers. The story of her upbringing would lay the foundation for the resilient and remarkable woman that she would become. In a momentous ceremony on the 18th of May 1797, the Princess Royal embarked on a new chapter of her life as she exchanged vows with Frederick, the hereditary Prince of Württemberg. The opulent Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace in London bore witness to this union, uniting Charlotte and Frederick, the eldest son and heir apparent of Duke Frederick II Eugenie of Württemberg, and his wife, Margravine Sophia Dorothea of Brandenburg-Schwedt. A twist of fate awaited the newlyweds as Duke Frederick II passed away, elevating Frederick to the position of reigning Duke of Württemberg on the 22nd of December 1797. from his previous marriage to Princess Augusta, the late daughter of Duke Carl II and Princess Augusta of Great Britain. Duke Frederick had 2 sons and 2 daughters. This familial connection intertwined the British and Württemberg royal families, with Princess Augusta also being the elder sister of Caroline of Brunswick, the estranged wife of the future George IV. Despite the high hopes for their union, the marriage between Charlotte and Frederick produced heartbreak. Tragedy struck when their first child, a daughter, was stillborn on the 27th of April 1798. The weight of this loss cast a shadow over their early years together, and in 1800 the French army invaded Württemberg, forcing the Duke and Duchess to flee to Vienna for safety. The following year, Duke Frederick negotiated a private treaty, surrendering to France. On the 25th of February 1803, he assumed the title of Elector of Württemberg. In a strategic move to secure support from France, he provided a significant auxiliary force to Napoleon, leading to the Emperor recognizing him as the King of Württemberg on the 26th of December 1805. With this accession, Charlotte the Electress was formally crowned as Queen of Württemberg on the 1st of January 1806, in a grand ceremony held in Stuttgart, Germany. The political landscape took a dramatic turn as Württemberg succeeded from the Royal Roman Empire, aligning itself with Napoleon's Confederation of the Rhine. However, this newfound alliance placed the elevated king at odds with his father-in-law, George III. The British monarch, deeply resentful of his son-in-law's regal title and allegiance to Napoleon, refused to acknowledge Charlotte as Queen of Württemberg in their correspondence. This strained relationship between the two was a reflection of the complex dynamics of power and conflicting loyalties during that era. In 1813, King Frederick made a significant shift in his allegiances, abandoning Napoleon's cause to join the Allied forces. His family ties to the Prince Regent, later George IV, proved advantageous, boosting his standing among the Allies. Following Napoleon's downfall, King Frederick attended the Congress of Vienna, where his royal status was confirmed. However, his reign was not destined to be long-lasting, as he passed away in October 1816, leaving behind a legacy intertwined with the turbulent times of war and political realignments. With the passing of her husband, Charlotte's role transformed into that of Dowager Queen. She chose to reside at the magnificent Ludwigsburg Palace, situated near Stuttgart, where she welcomed visits from her beloved younger siblings. The Duke of Kent, the Duke of Sussex, the Duke of Cambridge, the Landgrave of Hesse-Homburg, and Princess Augusta Sophia graced her with her presence, forming a cherished bond of family. In 1819, Charlotte had the honour of being a grandmother, albeit by proxy, at the christening of her niece, Princess Victoria of Kent, who would later ascend to the throne as Queen Victoria. This joyous occasion held special significance for Charlotte, bridging the gap between generations and reinforcing the enduring ties that bound the British royal family. In 1827, after more than 3 decades away from her homeland, the 60-year-old princess embarked on a momentous journey back to Britain. Her health had deteriorated and she sought medical treatment for dropsy. The introduction of steam on the Rhine provided a convenient means of travel. Setting sail on the 31st of May, Charlotte embarked on the magnificent steamboat Frederick Wilhelm, descending the Rhine with the logistics of her arrival were challenging due to her weight, which made it necessary that she was hosted aboard the Royal Sovereign on a specially crafted chair. Unfortunately, the weather forced the ship to depart from Bath. Upon reaching London, Charlotte took up residence at St. James's Palace, a place filled with memories and history. It is here that she received numerous visits from her extended family and had the opportunity to reconnect with the authorities. A significant farewell visit from the King himself, George IV, marked a poignant moment before her departure. On Tuesday, the 9th of October, Charlotte set sail from England on the Royal Sovereign. However, a fierce storm compelled the ship to retreat to Harwich, delaying her journey. Undeterred by setbacks, Charlotte resumed her voyage on the 14th. After spending a night on board, she continued her journey on the steamboat. Finally, on the 19th of October, she arrived in Frankfurt, where she was warmly welcomed by the King and Queen of Württemberg, as well as the Duke of Cambridge. This joyful reunion served as a reminder of the intertwining of the British and Württemberg connections. On the 24th of October, she returned to Ludwigsburg Palace, her tranquil sanctuary. Tragically, Charlotte's life came to an end within the walls of this palace on the 6th of October 1828. Her final resting place would be in the palace's royal vault, a testament to her significant role in both the British and Württemberg royal families. Her legacy as a beloved Dowager Queen and a remarkable individual endured, forever etched in the annals of history.